Hello, everybody. This is Susan Woods, your Black Lives Matter investigator. Thank you for your time. I want to revisit a topic that I discussed in my last update, and it was about the Black Lives Matter 2020 Impact Report. I want to revisit that report because I thought about the organizations that received six-figure grants, 33 of them, and I wanted to learn more about each one of them. So tonight I'm going to discuss the first five, and then I will do five for each subsequent update. So I'm going to go to page 20 because that is where information was provided regarding the finances of the Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation in 2020. This is the financial snapshot by the numbers. $90 million was raised in 2020. The average donation was $30.64, and more than 10% of the donations were recurring. The breakdown, $8.4 million went to operating expenses, and I'll come back to that in another update, but $21.7 million in grants dispersed to more than 33 organizations, 23 of which are led by LGBTQIA people and BLM chapters. Now, the BLM chapters is a lie because Patrice Coolers eliminated the chapters after 10 chapter leaders started questioning her leadership and asking about financial transparency. So no money went to BLM chapters. 23% of total assets dispersed compared to the industry average of 5 to 8%. Ordinarily, that would be something to brag about. However, during the time in which this money was dispersed, Patrice Coolers was the only official administrator of the Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation. And she started feeling the heat of the people asking the question, where is the money? Okay, you're generating $90 million, but where is it going? So she hastily decided to give $21.7 million to organizations that were near and dear to her heart and not really pertaining to the so-called mission of the Black Lives Matter movement. Now I'm going to go to page 22 so that you can see a list of these organizations. So again, in 2020, the we is Patrice Coolers, selected 30 local organizations, not part of our grassroots apparatus because there is no grassroots apparatus, to be our first cohort of official Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation grantees. As several communities were thrown into heightened political, socioeconomic, and medical vulnerabilities through COVID-19, the Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation sought to ensure the survival of some of society's most vulnerable, the Black LGBTQIA folks. Of the 30 organizations selected, 23 of them are led by Black LGBTQIA folks and are directly serve these communities in places like Chicago, New York, New Jersey, DC, and Alabama. Our selected organizations are listed below. We have committed a six-figure grant to each of these organizations. Six-figure grant. So how much is that exactly? That's what we need to know. That's what transparency means. What is the exact amount? How did you go about choosing these organizations? Because normally foundations have an application process for nonprofit organizations, 501c3s, to apply for grant funding. And then the board of directors will determine which organization receives the funding and which amount. And then that information is reported to the public. That was not done here. What I'm going to do is look at 5 organizations per update for the next several updates, next 7 updates, and just see what these organizations are about, whether or not they have a donate button, and if they do they claim to have tax deductibility, and then how they stand with the IRS. So the first one is the Okra Project. So this is the Okra Project, and we're going to talk about what it's about. The programs. Dinner on Us, okay, is a program that provides food to people who are trying to combat hunger and security. The Okra Project is a collective that seeks to address food insecurity in the Black trans community. That's what they are about. So let's look at their donate button. Well, you don't see one that's glaring, but normally they are found under the get involved. So get involved, make a tax deductible donation. So this implies that I can write off my donation. When I click on it, normally an organization that provides tax deductible donations will have an area that lists their EIN, employer identification number, as well as the tax deductibility evidence on their donate button, on their donate page. You don't see that here. You see the frequency that you can choose to make your donation, and you can see the donation level, but you don't see an EIN for me to verify the status. That's okay. So we're going to look at the Okra Project on the IRS site in just a few moments. I'm going to go through all of the organizations first, looking at the about information and the donate information, and then I'm going to look at all of them on the IRS website to determine whether or not they have 501c3 status. Next up is the TGI Justice page. So TGI Justice, they're saying their website is being redesigned so that they can better reflect what they're doing. But what is it? The TGI Justice project is a group of transgender, gender variant, and intersex people inside and outside of prisons, jails, and detention centers, creating a united family in the struggle for survival and freedom. Let's look at their donate button, see if it has tax deductibility. So support Black TGI leadership, donate today, and help TGIJP continue our 16-year legacy in the fight for self-determination, gender justice, and abolition. Donate now. Okay. Again, there is no information about tax deductibility on their page, and they don't have an EIN for us to examine. They just talk about how much you can donate and how often you can donate. Next, you have the Take Birmingham program. So this is the Take Birmingham program. It's the third of the 5 that I'm going to look at today. And so let's talk about what they are about us. The organization started out as a peer support group for trans women of color, TWOC, to come together and share their narratives. As a result, Take soon discovered that the organization needed to be more than a support group. There was organizing that needed to be done to break down barriers and to set standards within the Birmingham community for trans-related issues. The group began to focus on issues such as discrimination in the workplace, housing advocacy, support for sex workers, providing trans-friendly services, and working to alleviate the many other barriers that TWOC face that no one else was talking about. We have now expanded our services to TMOC, trans men of color, as well. So that's what they are about. Let's look at their donate button. Thanks for your donation. All donations are tax deductible and will be used to support Take's programs. So they are saying that their donations are tax deductible. Okay. Next, we are going to look at Trans United. Next thing, we're going to look at Trans United. Okay. So this is the Trans United site, and this is the 4th of the 5 that I'm going to look at today. Let's talk about what they do, about our work. Okay. Trans United is a 501c3 nonprofit that partners with visionary transgender leaders and organizations to build the collective capacity of the trans community and to improve the lives of transgender people. I don't want to join your mailing list. our families, and our allies. And again, they are stating that they have 501c3 nonprofit status. So when you click on donate, they should have their EIN. Anytime you have a nonprofit, you want to have your EIN showing to make it easy for people to look you up and to investigate your organization. But they say they have a 501c3 nonprofit status. And so that's fine. We can look them up by their name. No problem. That is never a problem. You can always investigate an organization by their name. Okay. Next, we have Audre Lorde program, the Audre Lorde project, the Audre Lorde project. The Audre Lorde project is a lesbian, gay, bisexual, two-spirit, trans, and gender nonconforming people of color community organizing center focusing on the New York City area. So that's what they are about. So let's scroll down. And here's the donate now button. Are they stating that they're 501c3? Let's see. Resourcing our communities and sustaining our work. We've been organizing our communities since 1996. Help us continue. At the Audre Lorde Project, we understand grassroots fundraising as part of a larger strategy of redistributing resources and ensuring that our organizing work is led by and for the folks most directly impacted. I'm going to scroll down and let you see how you can support your contributions amount. If you wanted to use honoree information, all of that. But I wanted to get to this section because this is important and it should be at the top of their page. The Audre Lorde Project is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. Your donation is tax deductible to the extent allowed by law, and they provide their federal ID number, which is the same thing as the employer identification number. So that's great. That's wonderful. They also provide a mailing address. They provide contact information too. So I applaud them for their transparency. So now what I would like to do, we've looked at all 5 organizations that I wanted to look at. Here, the Okra Project, TGI Justice Project, Take Birmingham, Trans United, and the Audre Lorde Project, Trans Justice. So now it's time for us to look at those organizations on the IRS website. So I'm going to look for the organizations by their names. So if you want to do this, you would go to irs.gov, the homepage. Then you would click on charities and nonprofits. Then you would click on search for charities. And then you would go to the tax exempt organization search. And that's where we are. Just follow this path. So I'm going to change this to organization name. And I'm just going to type in the Okra Project, which I've already done. And now I'm going to click on search. Now, if it's a 501c3, then the results will show the name of the organization. But as you can see, your search did not return any results. Please try again. Now, the Okra Project stated that our donations will be tax deductible, which means they should have 501c3 status. However, they could be working underneath another organization using their 501c3 status because the organization could be operating as their fiscal sponsor. And that is legal to do, perfectly legal. An organization that does not have 501c3 status yet can operate under another organization's 501c3 status as long as that organization has fiscal sponsorship and there is a written agreement on how that sponsorship will work, primarily that the organization, the fiscal sponsor, will be in control of managing their money and making the important decisions. So that's the only way that they could legally say, we accept tax deductible donations. They must have a fiscal sponsor. And I believe somebody did comment on my YouTube channel that they do. Okay, next we're going to look at TGI Justice, right? Let's see what's going on with TGI Justice. TGI Justice did not say that your donations will be tax deductible. Remember, they never claimed that because they don't have 501c3 status. Your search did not return any results. And that's a good thing. Be transparent. If somebody still wants to just give them money and not be able to write it off, that's their prerogative. But at least it didn't claim tax deductibility. I applaud them for that. Next, you have Take Birmingham. Take Birmingham does not have 501c3 status either. So unless they are in the same situation as I described with the fiscal sponsorship, they shouldn't be claiming that your donations can be written off or that they are tax deductible. That is illegal. If they do have a fiscal sponsor, take that extra step and say that, write that on your donate page. Say that our fiscal sponsor is such and such organization and their EIN is whatever it is. Be honest. Now, the next one we're going to look at claim to have 501c3 status, and that was Trans United. That was Trans United. They claim to have 501c3 earned status because they said we are 501c3, and here they are. This is the Trans United Fund. They are in Washington, D.C. This is their employer identification number or EIN. And this lets you know the Form 990N that they filed lets you know that they generated less than $50,000. So let's learn more about them. You can click on the link and it shows you again, Trans United Fund, the EIN, where they're located. And it also tells you that they submitted a Form 990N e-postcard, meaning they generated less than $50,000. And if you want to see it, you can look at it. The year is 2016. The EIN, the legal name, the mailing address where you can mail things or reach them. The officer's name, the principal officer's name is Day Pope, and their mailing address. And their gross receipts could not be more than $50,000 in order to be able to use the Form 990N. Now, my question would be, what about the other years? Where is the information for the other years that you filed? Because they don't have a revocation status, so they still are active. So my question is, why isn't the IRS showing the other years that they should have filed 2017, 18, 19, 20, and 21? Okay, don't know the answer to that. The last one that we're going to look at is the Audre Lorde project, right? Trans Justice. So the Audre Lorde project stated that they had 501c3 status as well. Typing it in this way did not generate the results. So I'm going to capitalize. I'm just going to try to do it just as they have it written on their page to see if that makes a difference. Search. Let's see. Nope. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to look at, because they did have an EIN number. Remember, they had an EIN number at the bottom of their donate page. So I'm just going to go back and get that number and look that way. So the number is 06-150-2452. And an EIN has 9 numbers. So that's 06-150-2452. So I'm going to go back now and I'm going to change my search by option to search by the EIN or employee identification number. So I'm going to type in the number 06-150-2452. And now I'm going to click on search. Now we've searched by the name. It didn't come up with search by the EIN. Here we are. So I don't know what I was doing wrong, but that's okay. So the Audre Lorde project EIN is located in Brooklyn, New York. And I'm going to click on it to learn more about it. Let's see if there's any other names for it. And there are not. Okay. It's the same thing. The deductibility status lets you know that it's a public charity, PC. It's a public charity. Okay. Let's see how many forms. Oh, okay. Copies of returns, whether the 990, 990EZ, 990PF, which is a private foundation, and 990T, which is a trust. And you can learn more about each one of those by clicking on the I. I'm not going to do that right now. So they have filed in 2016, 2017, 2018. They filed as a trust and a regular 990 in 2018. 2019 Form 990, and 2020 Form 990. Just a tidbit of information about the Form 990s. The Form 990, the type that you complete, depends upon the amount of revenues and assets your organization possess. Looking at this organization, I know that they generate more than $250,000 a year, because a Form 990 is for those organizations that generate more than $250,000 a year. The Form 990N is for organizations that generate $50,000 or less. The Form 990EZ is between the $50,001 up to the $249,999. Okay, that's just a little tidbit about the Form 990. So I'm going to open up their latest Form 990 that they submitted. So again, this is the organization name, EIN, tax period, return ID, filing type, return type. And if you want to look at their actual filing, and this is what I like about the IRS, you can go on and do a lot of investigations for nonprofits. Just click on the 2020 Form 990 filing. And again, like I said, if it's a 990, you know they generated at least $250,000 in that fiscal year. So let's take a look at it. How much did they generate? Do you see it? I see it. Let me highlight it. Here you are. Gross receipts, 1,380,968. Okay. So that's the Audre Lorde project. Okay, located in Brooklyn. And the principal officer is Maxwell Scales. So this organization looks very good. It looks very, very good. Looks like they are doing the right thing. Now notice that this is 2019. So this is for the calendar year beginning 7/9/2019 and ending 6/30/2020, because their fiscal year is not a typical calendar year. It's a tax year, not a calendar year, right? That makes a difference in when you file. Your Form 990 information returns are due 5 months and 15 days after your fiscal year ends. So their fiscal year ends on June the 30th every year. So it's 5 months and 15 days after that date. Okay. So it looks like this organization is legitimate. If you want to know more about them, you can scroll down and read their entire report. It's 35 pages. So to wrap this up, again, I just wanted to talk about or share information about the first 5 organizations that Patrice Concoulers chose to receive money through the Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation under duress. Okay, she had to let people see that money was being used for something. The problem with that is there was no governance, there was no decision making, there was nobody looking over her shoulder and making sure these organizations were properly vetted. So she just made a decision on these organizations were going to get a 6-figure grants. Nobody knows what the 6-figure grants include, how much they are, but this is what she chose to give. In the next update, I'm going to go on with the next 5 organizations, just like I did this evening, to let us see exactly, at least let us see what the organizations are about and whether or not they're claiming tax deductibility on your donations and whether or not they are listed on the IRS website. I'm so annoyed with the way this information is, the way that one person controlled the purse strings of a $90 million budget and decided on her own to give $21.7 million of the money that people donated, thinking that they were benefiting the Black community in ways in which these organizations don't technically represent. When people marched in the height of the COVID 19 pandemic, from the time George Floyd was killed on May the 31st, primarily through August 31st, almost a daily march, they weren't marching for money to be given to these organizations. So that is what is so disappointing, that the money wasn't given or used as people intended. Thank you for your time, and I'll see you on the next update.